Hey everybody, and welcome back to this Reddit F1 Xbox League season that we've got going in F1 2019. We are headed to round 8 of the season in Germany, fresh off of a second podium of the season at Spa. We managed to sneak our way into third place there off of what was a bad strategy choice at the first safety car, turned into something that we could really work with at the tail end of the race, and got on to some soft tires and made some good ground at the last few stages there. So we're headed off to Germany. I'm expecting some more safety cars around here. It's not a track I'm as comfortable with or as familiar with or as good at, and especially turn 1 is quite a doozy to try and handle. But we come in after our second podium in P9 in the championship, so we're hoping to continue to score some points and work our way up. But here we are, starting our first flying lap into turn 1, pitch it in, and you see those bumps and just run a little bit wide in the first of many, I'm sure, invalidated lap times. And in the race, those are going to be track limits warnings. So immediately after our lap time is invalidated, crank everything down to 0. We're going to save some fuel around and then turn it all back up as we get ready to start another attempt on a flying lap. Really not ideal to be doing 2 flying laps on one set of soft tires, but a little bit of oversteer that we had to catch coming through turn 1, but we make it through. We're down a fair bit of time, but our lap time is still valid. So this one is really one we're just going to be kind of careful with. Try and get a banker lap in and try and just get a lap time set as we head down the best overtaking opportunity on the track here. This long sweeper into the hairpin. It's a DRS zone, plenty of slipstream opportunity, and then a huge slow braking zone to really try and dive up the inside of your opponent or hang it out around the outside and make that move stick. Then you're into the fast kinked right-hander and then down into another braking zone. If you get the exit of this right-hander coming up just right here, you can take it pretty much flat out. I was not quite committed to it, just a little ease on. And then you're pitching hard right into the stadium section. Then down the short chute into the heavily banked turn 13. You kind of really can ride the camber there. And then into the final few corners, the double right-hander that really puts some heat on that front left tire. Get away with a little bit of a track extend out there, but doesn't really gain you time because of those sausage curbs that really upset the car. But we're across into P9 at the moment, 1.5 off of Nevis's best time. And here we are coming out on the medium tires. Looks like somebody's gone off there as we get set for our time. We'll see if we can start on the medium tire to give ourselves a different strategy option. Around the track, it's pretty much going to be like Baku, a 2-stopper if you're starting on the softs. You are able to start on the mediums. You can go with the 1-stop. We went a little wide there, somehow got away with it. I was actually kind of surprised when I ran the lap myself that we didn't get dinged for a track limits extension there. But as you can see, coming through out of that corner there, we are losing a little bit of time to our soft tire delta, and we are going to come into the section where that soft tire grip is going to be a significant advantage to us. But let's see if we can get a good run. Running fairly deep through the hairpin, lost a good chunk of time there. So it's looking like, unless we have an absolutely monster third sector, we're not really going to be improving our time on those medium tires and not going to be able to start on them.
We've only got 2 laps of
But
fuel.
one of the thinkings I had coming into this race was, with a couple of safety cars over the last couple of races, and some pretty high-speed, crashy areas that could happen around this track. Yeah, see, we're already 8/10 down. We're just going to dive into the pit lane and not even bother doing another lap. Get onto our soft tire, final set of softs a little earlier. But with all the crashes that we've seen the last couple of races, I figured if I could qualify on the mediums, I'd go 1-stop. But what I would bank on if I qualified on the softs is going deep into the race, swapping on the hard tire, and then seeing if a safety car comes out. But here we are. I've missed the braking point as I'm messing with temperatures on my final flying lap, and this is the start of the mental errors of the day that I had. We busted up the front wing, not going to be able to put in a better lap time, so just kind of limp our way back to the pits. I was trying to make sure I wasn't overheating front tire temperatures. As you can see, that front left already very warm. But in doing so, I slightly missed the braking and turn-in point, ran a little wide and into the gravel, and then there was the wall. So a dumb kind of boneheaded mistake in an opportunity to really improve. And we're sitting P10 at the moment, and that is where we stay. So we are out on starting on those soft tires that have already done basically 1.5 flying laps because we turned it down for the first invalidated lap. But they've seen some mileage already, so we're already going out on slightly more worn tires than really any of the other soft runners, and we're behind the medium tires. We were only one spot off of being able to have free tire choice. But so what the strategy is get off those softs early for me. Then we're going to slap on some hard tires and basically run those hard tires until we see a safety car. And use that safety car for kind of a cheap pit stop is the idea. So you'll see I'm going to mess with just cranking that all the way out. And then if needed, we can actually go to the end of the race on those hard tires doing, 20, 28 laps on them. It's something I tested. It's possible. But we are definitely looking for that mid to late safety car to get a cheap pit stop. So here we are. 5 red lights are out. We've adjusted our fuel levels and a little bit of wheel spin on the getaway. We've got Chuck pulling up alongside us on the outside. K3 onslaught as well. We're smoothly through turn 1. No big disasters there. And now we're going to try and pick our way. We're going to go to the outside. K3M is stuck on the inside there. So we're going to go around the outside of him, see if we can get better traction. And just kind of squeeze to the outside and take that position off of him. So a good start there. We're going to try and grab some slipstream, pick a line, see who is going to be early or late on the brakes. We're going to get on the brakes pretty much normal time. House fan Nick and MJ Povey have a little bit of a touch. We're going to go right up the middle in between Voki and Habs fan Nick and take that position off of both of them. So you're up into P7 now with MJ Povey in front of us, hunting him down. Having to lock up as he's on the brakes a little earlier following Golly Mooms. I didn't quite account for it. So it's going to take a little bit of life out of those tires. It's not going to be particularly good for that overheating of that front left because that's a tire that was locked up. And that's the one that we really lean on through basically the final 2 quarters and then the first quarter of the lap. But already we're flipping down into fuel save mode as we're in a bit of traffic. We're not going to be able to make any positions or go any faster. So Sector 3 is really where you can save fuel and get that mix down to lean without worrying about losing lap time. But here we go. Another kind of soft, gentle run through turn 1 as the heavy fuel loads are kind of tough to deal with through that corner. It's much easier to run wide when you're heavier on fuel, but we aren't too far off Povey. We're cranking up the electrical deployment into that overtake mode. See if we can close up that gap because next lap is when DRS goes available. And really the goal here is to use these soft tires when we have them to try and make up some ground on these guys on mediums. There's quite a bit of fighting going on in front of us with it looks like Dayman and Racer 04, the McLaren and the Renault kind of fighting with each other. So that should hopefully pull us in there a little bit tighter. Only 0.6 back of Povey. Ooh, Golly Booms is off the track wide. He comes on pretty much right in front of Povey. He checked up. I had to check up. But Golly's still out wide, totally out of shape through turn 13 and turn 12 there. So that's going to allow us to take that position up to P6 now. So not a bad way to start the race. We've gained 4 positions and now into DRS. I'm going to have the opportunity to attack MJ Povey down this next straight. But we've got yellow flags. Voki retired from the session off in turn 1. There's a first hit of that wall. And there's the safety car. So now the choices are to be made. I'm going to keep an eye on and see what the cars in front of me are going to do. And that's going to dictate what I'm going to do here. But basically, almost all of the leaders diving into the pit lanes. So what we're going to do is we're going to get onto medium tires just like everybody else. So we're essentially going to neutralize the strategy from here on in. The soft tires were only about 2 laps or so from going pretty poor. And we were going to have to be into the pits on lap 6 anyway, roughly. But so we're just going to go ahead and get that. And here we are coming out, and MJ Povey gets to ghost through us, which is a little unfair. I think our team was a little quicker on the stop. But now basically everybody is on one stop left on the medium tires onto another set of mediums. But here we are. lap 5 now, as the safety car is coming in, and we are working our way around turn 13. For some reason, Fast 6 really checked up. Looks like Toro Rosso out there checked up. There's a big gap out in front, but green flags, and because we had to really get out of the throttle there, lost a lot of ground to MJ Povey, but let's see if we can't close it back up. We're using some of the fuel that we saved up during that safety car period to try and grab that extra position up, but didn't really save too much through that safety car coming through the pits there, and we were only on safety car for about 2 laps. But Felix the Feline out wide, so we're going to grab some slipstream on him, turn the engine up to overtake mode. He's going to defend the inside of the sweeper, so we're going to have the inside now as we have to cut back inside of the braking zone into the hairpin, and really having to slow up, almost getting into the back of MJ Povey there into the brake zone as they kind of checked up in front of us. But we're up a position into P10 now as some of the guys that were already starting on the mediums towards the back of the field stayed out instead of pitting. So it's really kind of jumbled up the entire field. A lot of the front runners are essentially towards the back of the field now, and all the guys that were towards the back of the field are now out in front. So you're definitely going to see, a lot of overtaking here as the pace difference really kind of settles in, as the faster drivers are overtaking the guys that were towards the back of the field on slightly better tires. We don't have a particularly good run through the last 2 corners, a little out of shape there. That loses us some significant ground to MJ Povey. But QX Nemesis into the pit lane, so I'm curious of what his strategy thought was there. He stayed out on his soft tires, and you can see lap 7 had to come in to get a new set of tires as those softs were totally dead. But a lot of fighting going on in front of us as we head down through turn 3 and 4, heading to the sweeper of turn 5, and ooh, they're getting set up. They're 3 wide in front of us. Povey running wide. We are going to go 2 wide with him into the brakes, and we're going to try and pick a line through, and oh, they check up a little bit too soon, and we are late on the brakes, lock up, and we're into the back of Marco Denelson, and then side by side with MJ Povey. Contact there. Big mess that we've created into the hairpin, and that was absolutely my mistake. I misjudged my braking point under that condition, and I caused a lot of damage to a few people's races, and definitely after the race sent messages to everybody involved explaining how sorry. It's not the way I want to race. I got a little too deep into the braking zone, then following another car, locked up, and then it was into Denelson, who went into Onslaught, and then MJ Povey kind of went up the inside of us, and then we were side by side with him as he tried to swing out wide through the exit. So
okay, take it easy on the car. We can't sustain this.
Now we've got a broken front wing that we've got to deal with. Onslaught up our gearbox, and Marco Denelson there, and you can see just how much more we've got to get out of the throttle to get the nose into turn 1. It's really going to hurt. With this damaged front wing, we're losing probably about a half a second to a second per lap. So we're going to think about coming in and just getting a new front wing on there and crossing our fingers for a safety car and something to help us out. But yeah, busted up front wing. And Onslaught having a look to the inside. We left him some space to get around there, but he's not quite far enough alongside. Now Marco Denelson getting a good run on Onslaught there, but not quite enough to overtake him quite yet, it looks like, according to the mini-map. Maybe he's going to make a move into turn 7 there. Or turn 8, rather, is the left-hander. Turn 7 is that right-hand kink, but K3M getting through. He's made his way past that group. Marco Denelson looks to have made his way past Onslaught as well. See what damage they're carrying. We're out for another lap. I considered going into the pits there, and would have been terrible if that yellow flag behind had been a safety car resulting yellow flag, because that would have been an amazing time for us to jump into the pits. But there we are, picking up our first 3-second penalty, as it's really tough to keep the nose in. You just understeer right out on that corner, but really I'm fighting the front end of the car right now. It's costing me time to the guys in front. K3M has caught us right up very quickly, so you see making the adjustment, going to the hard tires in the next pit stop. We're going to dive in this lap, I believe, and try and get new tires and a new wing, and hopefully go long to the end of the race. Kind of go back to what our original strategy would have been on the start. But Golly Mooms has made his way past Marco Denelson. It looks like that front wing damage for Marco is harming his early stage race. Yeah, 1.5 seconds down on our best lap. Really costing us a ton of time having that damaged front wing. So here we are, tightening up that exit to the second to last corner so we can dive into the pit lane. Hit that limiter, boop, and slowly work our way down. We're essentially going to come out last man running here. So there we are, hard tires going on, and for some reason, leaving the repair front wing option on auto meant that they thought, nope, your wing's good enough.
Look after these tires now. We want to finish
So I'm
the race
still
this
on
compound.
my broken front wing as now the last man running, and at this point, I'm thinking, great, I got the tires, but they didn't fix the wing, the thing I really needed to come in for. And now I'm just hoping for a miracle, because if I come in and pit again, I'm gonna be lapped. I will be lapped by the leaders if I pit again, and I'll be like a minute behind the next running car. So here we are, jumping ahead to lap 17. A couple of people have had some adventures and some other pit stops, and we are up into 11th. But here's Marco Denelson behind us, who did in fact get a new front wing on his pit stop, and is on the hard tires as well, but he's managed to catch us right back up, and he is putting some significant pressure behind us as we are trying to reel in Dayman in front. But we are at about the halfway point of this race, and we are still kind of flirting, even though with the damage, with podium positions. We go to the inside to go defensive into turn 13. I know I'm not going to be able to hold him off too much longer. We got to do what we can, but yeah, see, running wide through that penultimate corner. And the other thing with having that damaged front wing is you can keep that front left tire temperature managed if you're not understeering and you're not overheating that tire, but when you lose that front downforce, you scrub that tire so much, and you end up just absolutely ruining it. But there's Denelson going to the inside. Ooh, little contact. But he was tired of following us and probably justifiably frustrated with the punt we gave him earlier. So he was going to take no prisoners in getting by us, and I cannot blame him at all. But luckily that gives us DRS on him, so we're going to be a little quicker down the straight. Not enough to attack him back, but enough to gain a little bit of lap time there. But ooh, there's Habs fan Nick off to the left there. Chuck SRQ also getting a slow run out. We're going to have a look to the inside, but he gets up to speed and dives right to the apex. So we're just going to cut across the grass to avoid a major incident with him.
Okay, you need to give that position back. That was an illegal overtake.
I think he didn't see me coming up there, and also he got up to speed a little quicker. He went from the wide outside. I thought he was giving the door on the slow entry, and we were coming up, but he dove right to the apex as we were getting there. 2 into 1 was not going to go, so we go across the grass to avoid a major collision with him. Instead, make a little bit of wheel banging, and we end up just having to give the position back to him. So no harm, no foul there. Definitely a very hairy move. We had to kind of pick a side, and it looked like he was leaving the inside for us. So that's kind of what I committed to, but he got up to speed a little faster than even I think he was expecting to, up to race pace, so he went for the apex right as we were arriving. So he does run a little deep into turn 2 and 3 there, so we are going to go ahead and have DRS on him, see if we can't take this position from him legitimately. So ERS is cranked up, fuel mode cranked up, sweeping around the outside of him, and we're going to be able to get all the way to the racing line by the time we hit the braking zone, fairly well clear of him. A little bit of wheel spin on the exit there, but we should be able to get the traction down and open up a little bit of a gap to him. And now we are in P10. We've managed to get ourselves back into the points, but it's going to be interesting based on everybody's penalties, because I'm sure we are not the only ones running wide through turn 1 relatively frequently. We are definitely not the only persons that are going to have any kind of penalties for this race. Looks like Marco creeping up on a McLaren who seems to be going a little bit slower this time around. We're going to see if we can't close that gap up a little bit. and make our way up to them and gain another position. Gali Mooms is in the pit lane, grabbing a set of medium tires, so we're going to snag a position off of that, go up into P9 at the moment. So starting to work our way back into the points. Gali, though, can go to the end on the tires. We can go to the end on these hards, but it's gonna be sketchy with the front wing. The damage to the front wing is definitely causing increased wear on that front tire as well. So we'll see. My tests were obviously with undamaged wings on how much tire life we have. So we're just gonna try and see what we can do. And like we were saying in the qualifying session here, maybe even banking on another late safety car, somebody making a mistake, and then we'll be able to come in, grab new tires and new front wing. At this point, we'd still go on to a set of medium tires, but the new front wing would help us out. Just kind of checking through tire temps for a second, and tire wear real quick. Seems to be all in decent shape for the amount of time they've been out on track. I mean, it's been 12 laps since we've bolted these guys on, and we've still got 14 left to go in the race, so they're at around the mid-30s of tire wear. So if we were to go to the end, they would be around in the 60%, which is where you start to get, after 50%, you start to get some performance drop off, but after 65, 70s when you get the huge cliffing of your lap times. And obviously our lap times aren't perfectly representative with the front wing damage as well. So, you know, it's just one of those things. I made the mental mistake in qualifying, and then another mental mistake in the braking zone, getting into the back of Marco Denelson, and then another mental mistake of not making sure that they were changing that front wing, trusting the auto option. It's definitely something I learned. If I need a front wing, slap it to yes. Don't even leave it on auto. Just absolutely slap it to yes. Make sure they get that new front wing on. I learned that throughout this race, but you know, a track, I think turn one and just kind of my typical lack of pace at this track had gotten into my head a little bit, and just, you know, after the disappointment of qualifying, having to start at a reduced capacity on a set of more worn tires than everybody else, I just kind of got in my own head for this race. Now you can see Habs fan Nick is starting to catch us up, coming from behind in that Toro Rosso. Now we've dropped.
You've lost some time to the car.
Thanks,
behind.
Jeff. I was quite aware. So Habs fan Nick still just outside of that DRS zone, 1.2 back, but we're now over 3 seconds back of Dayman. When Marco was getting past him, he was only about 2 and change, so 2.8 now. So we're a little quicker through Sector 1 than he is, but definitely not the best opportunity for us. We're starting to burn a lot of electrical. Ooh, Dayman into the wall. That might be some damage for him. He's slow getting back. He's back on track and moving again, so no safety car. He's able, but that's going to be a position that we pick up as he spins up the tires coming out of the hairpin and causes a mistake. And so that's going to be another position up for us. So up into P8 now, but we are being under attack from Habs fan Nick behind us. And then very wide through the last corner. You see just how bumpy it is once you get out there. You're losing a lot more time. We're trying to save some fuel, and that's going to absolutely put Habs fan Nick in DRS range of us. We're over 5.5 seconds back of Marco. Ooh, big oversteer moment that we have to catch there. Huge moment coming through turn 1. So that's absolutely going to put us under massive pressure from Habs fan Nick. So we got to turn up the engine. We don't have a lot of electrical to play with at the moment, but we are going to slap it into overtake mode, use as much energy as we can, and as soon as we think he's not going to catch us, we're going to crank that engine down. He's had a little bit of a peak to the inside, but not quite close enough to make that attack. So we regen some into the braking zone there, and we're just going to try and hold him off through the next couple of corners as we try and regen as much electrical energy as we can. We are absolutely going to be under siege the next time we hit that long straight, because he is right on our tail unless we are super clean this third sector. But you see, we lost about a second and change to Marco thanks to those couple of moments already. And obviously, fresh front wing definitely helping him out. He is definitely going to be much better back on the pace on that front wing, whereas we are still struggling with that scrub tire. Now already 7 seconds back. We'll run a little wide, pick up another warning. But we are definitely going to be under attack once again from Habs fan Nick. He is in DRS of us, going to try and make his presence known. We get a pretty good run off of turn 3 and 4 there, so doesn't look like he's going to be close enough quite to attack us. So we are going to turn that engine mapping back down, try and regen some of that battery. But we did enough on the straight and enough on the exit of turn 4 to put some distance to where the DRS was just enough to keep him in contact with us. But 10 laps left to go in this race now. And we are holding P8. We'll see, you know, we've already got several penalties. But, ooh, there's a safety car out. Dayman is out.
The safety car is out.
Has he made a mistake somewhere? He came into pit last lap after he had that contact with the wall at the hairpin. And now here we are. 10 laps left to go. I know on a lighter fuel load, we should be able to stretch those soft tires. It won't be great, but now you can see I've set repair wing damage to absolutely yes, and we are in a pretty good spot on track when that safety car came out to be able to get into the pits fairly quickly. We're going to lose some spots just because of our front wing repair. But now you've got Marco in there. He is going out on some medium tires, it looks like. We are diving in, getting a new front wing now. As you see, they slap that bad boy back on. And we've got those soft tires bolted on. That's going to let Golly Mooms get by us. Onslaught is through. And it looks like we are going to come out behind Chuck as well. But here we are out. Last car in the line. Felix is a couple spots up ahead as a back marker. But then, oh, everybody checks up coming out of the turn 13 as the leaders are accelerating. And we just had no reaction time to avoid getting into the back of Golly. And we've got another broken front wing.
Okay, the incident has been cleared. Let's
Like,
get back up to racing
everybody
speed.
everybody at the front of the field is getting back up to racing speed, and then somebody in the line towards the back of the field
Be on the softs.
checked up and just stopped coming out in an acceleration zone. Like, there's not even a braking zone. It's another, 5 seconds to another braking zone. So another broken front wing for us. We are on the soft tires, so we'll see what we can do. But that time, just I was hovering on the throttle, anticipating getting ready to accelerate and get back up to racing speed. As Chuck goes wide, ooh, we have to kind of dive to avoid him. We've got to run on Golly. Are we going to be able to get on the inside of him? Nope, we're going to switch it back to the outside. And he's going to outbrake us just a little bit. He outbrakes himself, goes a little wide. And he's going to be a little slow. Jeff is talking new strategy. New strategy being no more stops. Okay, that's pretty much expected.
Copy that.
But Golly still holding that position in front of us. He runs a little bit wide on 13. Gets onto the curbing there, but he's still holding that position. We have to kind of check out. But, oh, he's very wide into the entrance of the penultimate corner. Gets way out of shape, and so that's going to allow us to dive up. Now we are in P10, so we're back in the points, barring any penalties. Speaking of penalties, there's another one.
A time penalty will go against our
But here we are, Onslaught
finishing time at the end of the
on the hard compound, but with a good front wing. We are on the softs, though, so we should have great traction exiting this corner. We're behind in the detection zone. Oh, wait. Still not 3 laps since the start of since the restart, so no DRS. So we're going to have to do it the old-fashioned way, but he's going to grab a little slipstream and have an attempt to come back at us. But he's not going to be close enough. Now we've got Felix in front, who is a back marker. He is a lapped car. So he is ghosted, so we don't have to worry about trying to, make a move on him. We will be able to go right through him, and that way he also doesn't have to worry about worrying about blue flags and getting out of the way of us and handing that position off. So he'll be able to continue to drive his race. That's kind of the trade-off of the ghosting. We'll see if we can make a move through the final sector and get a good run to take that position back. Because on the flip side, normally if the cars are not ghosted, you can actually get DRS off of a back marker, because they are a car that is within 1 second of you. But when they're ghosted, then you cannot. You do not get your not get DRS off them. So we use a little extra engine power just to get clear of him, because even though he is a ghosted car, it is a little distracting to see that moving around in your vision and kind of fixing your brain to drive through him. But jumping ahead here, lap 33, we kind of just held the gap between Habs fan Nick and Onslaught behind us. We're P9 at the moment. You can see our front left tire getting a little toasty, 102. It starts hitting that overheat moment at about 103, 104. So we are going to see it get pretty warm and start turning yellow as we get out of the final corner. Hopefully we can get enough cooling to dive in. You see the amount of understeer you get when that front tire is even just a little bit overheated, and that's also, contributed to by the thrice broken front wing. Big lockup is going to be tons of heat in that tire. You see all the way up to 107 now Celsius, so you can boil water inside of it. But now we're just trying to use what fuel and ERS we have left. Try and keep a gap to Onslaught. It's not going to make a huge difference. We almost certainly lose the position to him. One thing I will do after the race is put in an inquiry to the stewards for the 5-second penalty I got under the safety car when everybody basically brake tested me when everybody should be accelerating coming out of that turn 13. So that if that affects my finishing position is, we go a little wide into the gravel there, still keep the car alive. That's an area where if you get out into there and if you notice, I'm not paying attention to my rich mix, and I've gone negative on lap finishing there, and I'm in low fuel mode, so turning it to lean. But you'll notice on the throttle, engine kind of sputtering coming across the line. So we still cross the line P9, but we are relegated to P10 as the next few guys cross the line. So here we are finishing our little, going out on our cooldown lap, but P10 is where we end up coming after a really, really scrappy race. Really not a great race for me there. Mental mistakes in qualifying and at the start of the race. Some bad luck on not having that front wing change, and then really bad luck on that brake check when everybody's getting ready to go back up to racing speed through the last couple of corners. Everybody just comes to a dead stop right in front of me. Now looking at the final result times, as we see QX Nemesis took the race win. We've got Marco Denelson recovered to second, so after my little punt of him, he was able to turn in a really good race, catch back up, and MJ Povey taking the third spot on the podium. But look, everybody, literally everybody has a penalty of some kind. But the 5-second penalty didn't gain or lose me any other positions, so I will be still essentially putting that inquiry in for in case somebody else had another penalty that gets wiped. I don't want my finishing position to change, but I don't really blame anybody for it. I just don't think it was right to pick up a 5-second penalty when I had nowhere to go. I mean, I was already off the throttle and waiting, so it's not a spot where you'd expect to be on the brakes. But earlier on was definitely my mistake, and it wasn't a particularly great run for me. So luckily we were able to come away with a point. A single solitary point, but we do have a week off, and then we're into the final third of the season, headed to Japan, and then we've got Monza, the USA, and finishing off with Brazil. So that basically keeps us tied for P9 in the championship. We'll see if we can make up some ground at the end of the season. Hopefully see how high up the board we can get. But I'll catch you guys next time, 2 weeks from now. If there's a special event next week, I'll definitely post it, but I'll see you all later. Peace.